So on the date of March 17th, I was fortunate enough to have been at work at that time in the field that I had studied over the last year and the field that I had experience in over the previous 10 years. I was working as a human resources specialist with a great company, finally working at a head office location and having a job in my field with regular hours, so to speak. And so I was at work on March 17th. During that day, my heater needed the filters replaced. So a company known as Dynasty Maintenance came into the unit, accompanied by a member of my security concierge team from Nights on Guard, and performed the changing of the filters on the heating unit. My theory begins here. What stops someone from walking around my unit and looking around at everything I have and making a plan to come back to rob me? Not many people in the world even knew I had a safe, and not many people would have needed to know that. It was hidden in my closet, under clothes and boxes. And besides all the other stuff taken, my 5 journals were kept safe in that safe. More on that in a moment. Then on April 5th, the day before the break-in, several unit owners reported strange alarm occurrences. It should be noted here that I was not the only person broken into on April the 6th. The only reason we knew about what even happened with the alarms on April 5th is that after the break-in, we started talking to our neighbors. I notified one of my own neighbors on this floor a couple of days later about my break-in. She got all freaked out and panicked and went to speak to her neighbor. And when she spoke to her neighbor, the neighbor said, "Oh, didn't you know your alarm had gone off earlier in the week?" And she was like, "I didn't know that. Nobody told me. Nobody called me. When I came home from her work that day, her alarm was back on as normal." How did something like that happen? As well, on the upstairs level, next to a lady who was robbed on the penthouse floor, a gentleman there reported that his alarm had gone off for the very first time, and he's never even used his alarm before. He had no idea the code to deactivate it, so he had to call downstairs to security and have them deactivate it for him. How did something like that happen? But the story does get more interesting. With the lady on my floor, when her alarm was going off, the retired fellow, her neighbor, who lives next door, decided to open up his door. He didn't understand why the alarm was going off. And when he opened his door, he saw a member of the Dynasty Maintenance people just standing there outside the door. He didn't see them come out of that door, he just saw them standing at the door of an alarm. He recognized the person as the person who changed the filters in his heater. The reason he recognized him is he was home the day on March 17th that his filter had the maintenance performed, because as I mentioned, he's a retired fellow and he's home. Short while later, the Dynasty Maintenance person disappeared and a member of security came up. Now let's cut to April 6th. My place was broken into, turned upside down, and things taken. The lady on the penthouse level, her place was broken into. She also had a safe and jewelry, also taken. Over the last couple of weeks, it has been extremely hard for me dealing with the police and my property manager and the security company and the maintenance company and the insurance company, just trying to prove what I lost. A lot of the proof of what I lost was on a digital memory card that was in my safe as well. And nobody seems to help, and nobody seems to care. The police believe it was simply random. People come into units all the time and take things. I've thrown a lot of questions back at them. For example, if someone were to walk off with all of my stuff and a 100-pound plus safe and leave the building without going through the elevators, there's no video evidence, there's no other witnesses to what happened, then were they simply in my place for the very first time that day on April 6th? Or is it conceivable that they had been in my place prior to the break-in in order to plan how to do it? I don't know. That's just my theory. The other hard part is living without my journals. And I realize, and I will be the first to say, and I need to put this in perspective, that I'm fortunately still alive. I didn't get hurt. No one got killed. I recognize that. I also still have my health. The sun will still come up tomorrow. The sun will go down. And the next day will occur as normal. But I still felt, and I still feel to this day, that I lost a part of me. Those books were important to me. Not many people in the world even knew I had them, and not many people in the world needed to know I had them. It was all of my experiences since September of 1988 when I entered grade 9. And in those early years, those books were composed of mostly stories revolving around myself in school and the adventures of being a high school student, the friends I had, the teachers who educated me, the projects we worked on, and the group of people that would become very important in my life over those next 5 years. And as those 5 years progressed, I would talk a little bit more about my family, my place in the world as a whole, trips we've taken, conversations with people. It became even dream sequences that resonated with me to a certain degree. While yes, a lot of those things that I talked about in those early years are probably of no significance right now, I still like from time to time to go back and refer to a name of a person I used to know, stories I had from my employment with the town of Richmond Hill Parks and Recreation. I had some great experiences with people I used to know in those days. And the books unfortunately got caught in the crossfire. Had they not been kept in that safe, they probably would still be around with me today. I also regret, for many years I had planned to take digital pictures of every single page in those books, or photocopy them. But life happened, and then I ran out of time. Had I just simply kept them here in the bookcase, they would have been passed over. That's not what the people who came into my place were looking for. But I'm hoping, and I still pray, from time to time, that either they cannot figure out how to open up my safe, or if that's too naive to say, perhaps they just left the safe after they took the valuables out of it with my 5 books intact. That would be nice. But as a month has now gone by since the incident, only the people who did this, and God up above, know exactly what happened on that date of April 6th. As the years went on and I entered university, I only updated my journals once a week, and then halfway through my first year of York University, studying a BA in psychology, I changed it, and I only updated the books twice a year. Once on September 8th, and once on either May 5th or May 6th. Starting in 1994, I believe it would be then, I did my first biannual entry on May 5th at 4 p.m. and it just kind of worked out that way that every May 5th afterwards I would do it 1 hour later. So I had some memorable entries in the middle of the night talking about everything from my AMC days to trips we used to take to Florida with my family, and up north to Huntsville 7 years in a row, and even as recently as my trips to New York in the last couple of years. I also had conversations with my relatives recorded in there. My grandfather, no longer alive, who died of cancer several years back now. Family get-togethers for holidays, important events. And I realize that the major stuff is still going to be in here forever. I realize that. And the small stuff that were still important to me, I may not recover all those memories. They may be gone forever. The reason for this entry, one final time, is I just don't want to talk about the event anymore. Unless someone has some information as to what exactly happened that day, I leave for you this recording, a recording that expresses my feelings, my hate of the world, but the hope and optimism that it can still be a better world. What happened to me was important to me. It may not be important to you at all. Therefore, this video is for me. I still have pictures from a lot of important events in my life, and I still have videos. And I plan to do whatever I can to preserve those. I also plan to create new memories. I don't think I'll be recording them on a piece of paper anymore, and I don't think I'll be doing any more of these video entries. These video entries took the place of my 5 books in 2009, when my 5 books ran out of pages. And now, I end this video for the final time. I'm Lawrence Miller, and I wish myself and all of you all the best.